Mile marker 41, I need you to understand something before I tell you this, because it's going to matter later. I have driven Route 9 my entire life. 26 miles of nothing between my Aunt Rhonda's farmhouse and the highway that takes me home. Corn on one side, dense tree line on the other. One gas station that locks its doors at 8 and one bar that isn't worth stopping at. I could draw you that road from memory. I knew every dip, every place the asphalt buckles from frost heave, every spot where deer like to stand at the edge of the corn, deciding whether tonight's the night they get hit. I'm telling you this because what happened to me on that road didn't happen because I was somewhere unfamiliar, somewhere I should have known better than to be. It happened on the road I knew best in the world. And I think that's the part that still gets to me, that it didn't need me to be lost. It just needed me to be alone. It was a Sunday night in October, and I'd stayed at my aunt's later than planned, the way you always do at her house, because she made me stay for pie and then made me stay again for coffee after the pie. By the time I actually pulled out of her driveway, it was 11:15. She hugged me at the door, the way she always does, and said the thing she always says, text me when you're home, and I told her I would, and I meant it, and that was the last completely ordinary moment of that night. The first 4 miles were nothing. Radio low, windows cracked because the heater in my car runs hot, that particular tired but good feeling you get driving home in the dark after a meal with someone who loves you. And then right around mile marker 45, my headlights swept across something pulled onto the shoulder. A car. Older sedan, dark color, hazards blinking that slow orange tick, on, off, steady as a heartbeat. No one near it. No flashlight bobbing in the corn, no silhouette pacing beside it, nothing. Just a dead car breathing its little pulse of light into the dark like it was patient, like it had all night. I slowed without deciding to, the way you do, craning to check the driver's seat. Empty. I figured a tow was already coming, or the driver had walked to the gas station, or gotten picked up by someone faster than me. I kept going. You don't stop on that road at night, not because anything's ever happened out there, just because it's dark and far from anything, and my mother raised me smarter than that. 2 miles on, mile marker 43, the same car. I want to be precise about what I mean by the same, because it's important, and because for the first few seconds my mind tried very hard to talk me out of what my eyes were telling me. It wasn't a similar car. It wasn't the same make and model in a different color. It was the identical vehicle, same dent folded into the rear bumper, same cracks spidering diagonally across the back windshield, same hazards ticking that same unhurried rhythm, parked on the shoulder of a road I had driven past 2 minutes and 4 miles ago. I laughed. Actually laughed, alone, out loud, because that's what a scared brain does. It hands you the stupidest explanation first so your mouth has something to do besides scream. Maybe there's 2 of them. Maybe it's some kind of prank show. I didn't believe either of those for 1 second. I just needed a sound that wasn't the sound I actually wanted to make. I pushed the gas down. Told myself I wasn't scared, just eager to be home. 58. 63. 70 on a road with a 50 limit and no shoulder wide enough to argue with a ditch, and I still hadn't reached mile marker 41, and some cold, very calm part of my brain said, quite clearly, if you see it again, something is wrong with tonight in a way you cannot fix by driving faster. I saw it again. Mile marker 41, same shoulder, same angle, same tired blink, like the whole scene had simply lifted itself off the road behind me and set itself back down a mile ahead, waiting unhurried for me specifically to catch up. And this time, as my headlights swept across it, I saw someone in the driver's seat. I only had it in view for a second and a half, maybe 2, but I've replayed it enough times since that I could draw it for you. A shape upright, facing forward, not slumped, not the posture of someone hurt or asleep, but sitting perfectly straight, hands not visible. Head tilted very slightly toward my lane, like they'd been watching that stretch of empty road, waiting to see which direction a car would come from, and had just now gotten what they wanted. I did not stop. I want that on record. I did not stop for the person. I stopped because 30 yards past the Buick, directly ahead of me on the center line, standing perfectly still in the middle of my own lane, was a second figure. I hit the brakes hard enough to lock the tires, and my car fishtailed onto the shoulder gravel and stalled sideways, engine dead. Headlights aimed off across the corn instead of down the road. And for maybe 4 full seconds I sat there with my heart trying to climb up out of my throat. Absolutely certain I'd killed someone, that there was a body somewhere in front of my bumper. There wasn't. When I got my headlights back on the road, because some part of me made myself restart the car and straighten it out, hands shaking so bad it took 2 tries to turn the key, the center line was empty. No one standing in it. No one lying in it. Just asphalt, and 1 mile back that Buick still sitting there, still blinking, engine idling, hazards going, driver's seat now empty again. I should have turned around right there. I know that now. I think some part of me knew it then, too, and drove forward anyway out of the same stupid, useless human instinct that gets people killed in every story like this one. The need to know, to make the wrongness make sense, to find some ordinary explanation waiting just past the fear if I could only get close enough to grab it. I pulled up about 20 feet behind the Buick, left my headlights on, left my engine running, doors unlocked because some part of my brain was still operating on the rules of a normal night. And I got out. The quiet out there is a specific kind of quiet. No traffic hum, no distant highway, just crickets and my own engine ticking as it cooled. And that hazard light clicking its slow rhythm into a night that felt like it was holding its breath along with me. I walked toward the driver's side. Windows were up, doors shut. Inside empty, no purse, no fast food bag, no phone glowing on the passenger seat, nothing that said a person had recently been living a life inside that car. It looked staged. It looked like a prop built to resemble a broken-down car rather than an actual one. That's when I heard the tapping, not from the Buick, from behind me, from inside my own car. I turned around slow, and through my back windshield, lit orange by the Buick's hazards, I could see a shape sitting in my back seat. Upright. Still. Head tilted forward the way you'd sit if you were looking down at something small held in your lap, and one hand raised, knuckles moving against the inside of the glass in a slow, patient rhythm, tap, 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 like someone knocking politely on a door they already knew would open. I did not walk back to my car. I want to be honest about that, because I think about it more than almost anything else from that night, that I did not go back for my own car. I turned and ran, down the shoulder into the dark, away from both vehicles, my shoes slipping in loose gravel. Corn stalks whipping cold and dry against my arms as I cut blind into the field just to put something solid and rustling and alive sounding between me and whatever was tapping on my glass. I don't know how long I stayed in that corn. Long enough that my breathing stopped sounding like sobbing and started sounding like breathing again. Long enough that the cold got all the way into my hands. When I finally worked up the nerve to creep back to the edge of the field and look out at the road, both cars were gone. Not driven away, gone, the way a held breath is gone once you let it out. No taillights receding into the distance. No headlights coming back for me. Just an empty 2-lane road, dark on both ends, and my own car sitting alone on the shoulder with its headlights still on and its engine still running, back seat empty, doors still unlocked, exactly the way I'd left it. I don't remember the walk from the corn back to the driver's seat. I remember locking the doors before I'd even gotten it fully closed. I remember checking the back seat in the rearview mirror 4 times before I trusted myself to pull back onto the road. And I remember the note, folded once, tucked under my driver's side wiper, which had absolutely not been there when I'd first pulled up behind the Buick, and which I only found because I was too rattled to drive away without checking my own windshield first, some instinct telling me to look. Pencil, blocky handwriting pressed hard enough to nearly tear through the paper in places, the way someone writes when their hand won't hold still. Not a threat, not a sentence. Just my license plate number written out like a name being confirmed, like a name being filed. Under it, smaller, added almost as an afterthought in the same shaking hand, were 4 more words. Almost. Next time, sit still. I drove home doing close to 90 on a road built for 50. I did not check my mirrors after the first mile because I could not make myself. And somewhere in there, I started to cry in that ugly, gulping way you do when your body finally gets permission to fall apart. And I did not stop crying until I was inside my own house with the door locked, and the chain thrown, and every light in the place turned on. I texted my aunt like I promised. Home safe. 2 words. I have never told her what actually happened on that road, and it has been 3 months. For a while I told myself it would fade, that this was the kind of thing that gets smaller in your memory the further you get from it, the way most scares do once daylight comes back and explains everything away. It didn't fade. If anything, the details got sharper, the way a photograph left in developer too long keeps darkening instead of stopping. I remember the tapping now more clearly than I did the night it happened. I remember it had a rhythm, 3 taps and a pause, 3 taps and a pause, and I remember that somewhere around the 2nd week afterward I recognized that rhythm. Because it's the same 3-tap knock my Aunt Rhonda has used on my bedroom door since I was a kid, the one she does before she opens it without waiting for an answer. I don't take Route 9 anymore. I go the long way now, 40 minutes instead of 25, through 2 towns and a stretch of well-lit highway. And my aunt thinks I've gone soft, keeps asking why, and I keep telling her it's construction because I don't have a version of the truth that doesn't end with her looking at me like I need help. Last week she called me laughing about something, and almost as a throwaway line in the middle of a completely different story. She mentioned that a woman had flagged her down on Route 9 the night before, car trouble, asking to borrow a pen. I asked what for. My aunt laughed again and said the woman wanted to write something down. Never did say what, seemed harmless enough, sweet-looking thing, just wanted to double-check an address before she went and knocked on the wrong door this late at night. I asked my aunt, as steady as I could make my voice, what the woman looked like. There was a pause on the line I didn't like at all. Funny, my aunt said. I want to say she looked a little like you actually, just off. Like a drawing of you somebody did from memory. I haven't called my aunt back since, and I check every night now that the porch light is on before I let myself fall asleep. And I keep my curtains shut even though my bedroom is on the 2nd floor, because 3 nights ago, at just past 11, I woke up to a sound at my window that I am absolutely certain, no matter what anyone tells me, was 3 taps and a pause. 3 taps and a pause. I live alone. There is nothing outside my window but a 20-foot drop in an empty yard. I haven't checked what's actually out there. I don't think I'm going to.